Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today I'm bringing you another episode of Matt Rants. And this is episode 2 of 3 for the day. And before we move on to the topic of this episode, for any new listeners and new subscribers to the channel, I want to say thank you all so much for listening in. But I also want to mention that we usually, for Matt Rants, we have a question of the day or a question of the episode. We haven't had that for the last 2 Matt Rants, but we are bringing it back for this one. So the question is, should this FIFA 19 Pro player have been banned from competitive play? So before we answer the question, of course, we're going to talk about the story itself. So this FIFA 19 Pro player posted a video to his YouTube channel where he said a homophobic slur. Now, yes, there is a small thing here that I do want to, make very, I want to pinpoint. This was on his personal YouTube channel. This had nothing to do with playing at a FIFA event or at an EA event. So yes, that is something to note, but I also would like to mention that I said posted and not live streamed because that is very important as well. Now, I'm not saying that if someone live streamed something homophobic, transphobic, anti either LGBTQ plus or racist in any way, if that's okay because they did it live. Not saying that. However, I do understand someone's argument when they say that there is a live component to it. Again, I don't think that's a full-on hand wave like a Jedi mind trick like, oh, then I guess it's okay. I disagree, but this was an edited video. So either he or someone that he hired edited the video and thought this was a-okay to let through. Now, let's also mention the context as well. Again, not that makes it okay, but I still want to give you guys the whole story here. So his name is Tassel, known as Tass Rashan. He's located in the UK, and he's a FIFA European champion specifically from London. And also would like to mention as well that he plays with the FaZe Clan, which is an esports organization. And yes, so he specifically said, because I want to say exactly what he said in the video itself, during a match, I assume it was due to the fact that he saw someone that he, disliked. Maybe he was just trying to, rib him. I assume he probably heard him in the video too. It wasn't just us hearing him, he said. And just like that, we're seeing this effing F. The first F was a different F than the second F. Again. So, and just like that, we're seeing this effing F again. So that is exactly what he said. But before we actually get to the question, I do want to mention that he did make an apology tweet. So looking at this tweet, he said, "I am sorry to anyone I offended with what I said. I hold myself to a higher standard and I failed to live by FaZe and EA's code of conduct. It was a wake-up call that I need to be more careful with what I say. I'll use it as a learning curve moving ahead. I'll be back competing soon." So personally, I think that was an amazing apology. Now, some people do say, hey, but he technically said he was sorry for people that were offended. But I think that the way he said it after, where he said, hey, look, I hold myself to a higher standard, he's straight up saying, no, the responsibility is on me. So I think that even though, yes, some might say, oh, he turned it into, I'm sorry that you were offended, depending on how that's said, I don't think that's a huge issue as some people make it out to be. Now, in some cases, if it's worded poorly, then yeah, it comes off literally as, well, I'm sorry you got offended. Then yeah, no, that's not an apology. But when you say, hey, listen, I did not mean to, I'm sorry that I offended you and I take responsibility for what I said, I think that that's a good apology. However, sadly, he did post a YouTube video after that and he made sure to kind of secure defeat out of the jaws of victory. Really muchined this thing up. Let's actually go to some quotes. By the way, this article will be linked in the description box down below, as well as his YouTube video. If you do want to see it and do want to see him kind of just kind of really, I really feel like he screwed the pooch here. I really do, because I think that tweet alone definitely secured, if he was worried about securing his job, right? If above all else he was worried about securing his job, which I do think this video showed that he was worried about that, more so than trying to actually apologize. I think he could have just said the tweet and he would have potentially gotten his job back eventually. If he does care, then I think that the tweet actually showed that on its own. I don't think he had to bring YouTube into this. I know that he's a YouTuber, duh, as am I. Also, I don't know why I pronounced YouTuber like that. YouTuber, I don't know why I did that. But the point is that is who he is. That's who I am. A lot of us are that on here. Okay, I get it, right? A lot of YouTubers. Cool. But if I made a mistake or something like that, or I did something wrong, when you craft a tweet like that, that, or a public apology of some type, it just, to me, maybe you guys disagree. If you guys do, it's totally fine. Comment down below. But I thought his tweet worked very well to say, hey, I'm sorry. And we left it at that. There were no excuses. There was nothing left to explain. It felt like everything was on the table. But then, during this video, he said, and again, we're quoting him here, it's a very unfortunate, unintentional misunderstanding from my end. Oh, okay. So wait, what was the misunderstanding? Like, was there, off camera, were they maybe trading cigarettes or something like that? I don't know. What were they burning sticks? I don't know exactly what it was. More quotes from him though. He says, due to where I've been brought up, the connotation of that word from my perspective until now, it was just another word for prick or idiot. Not even 1% of me knew it had any type of derogatory connotation towards homosexuality at all. First of all, if I knew it did, there is no way I'm saying anything like that. I would never say anything like that. Trust me. I think some of the guys could back me up on this. Who's from London? Did you know that word had that connotation? Come on. Really? Really? And believe me, look, I understand that different cultures have different either words or gestures that can be deemed offensive. I'm pretty sure that the John Cena, and yes, I'm going to pro wrestling here, the sign that he does, like everything's gonna be okay sign that he puts his hands up, that in Brazil is a sexual thing. That is something, and you can Google that yourself. But yeah, I've heard that that's different overseas. Also, I remember in Germany they had to censor, they being Nintendo in this case, had to censor something done in I believe it was Mario Kart. I think it was the 8th edition. Basically, there was an inkling that did it kind of looked like a Rosie the Riveter, like we can do it thing. But with that gesture, it was offensive in Germany, which I believe actually that was also censored in Pokemon Silver back in the day, Pokemon Gold and Silver. But still, the point though is that I totally get that, different cultures, things will, have different meanings. I mean, the phrase, and I'm only going to use it because in the American context, it is not used. It's used to say screw off or F off, but it's not exactly used the same way it is in the UK. The phrase bugger off, stop it. You're immature if you're laughing. Don't do it. Because in the UK, it's referring to essentially saying to F off, but referring to gay sex specifically, which is why over there some people are like, ooh, don't say that because that comes off as homophobic. But over here, it's just looking like someone's, essentially it feels like it's a synonym to piss off, but it is not. It is definitely not. And another one as well, if you want to make a bunch of Europeans laugh, in your most American accent possible, say, hey, that woman has a nice fanny. Which you would think is someone's butt. It is not. It is not the butt. You can Google what that is. It is something completely different. But I say it because, again, in the U.S., it means something completely different. But here's the thing, though. The thing is that when it comes to that word, again, if he was actually talking about it in the sense of, hey, would you like and is holding out a cigarette. Granted, that would also probably be an issue on YouTube potentially, but still, if he said that, I wouldn't sit here and be like, how dare, like, I wouldn't be clutching pearls here, and I'm still not clutching pearls, but still, I wouldn't be like, he said that naughty word. Like, no, there's a different connotation to it. However, him trying to have this defense of, hey, I didn't know, he did not speak like that. He didn't have that accent. Hey, I didn't know that there was this problem with that word. What's going on here? If him saying that, you might actually, here's the thing, right? So maybe you want to defend him. Maybe you're like, no, he definitely didn't know, and no one over there knows, right? No one over there knows. There's two things. First of all, if you see his picture, you might think he's actually really, really young. I know he has facial hair, but I mean, when I was in high school, I had facial hair. I knew a bunch of people who had like beards and stuff like that in high school. So I understand if you're like, well, maybe he just doesn't know. He's just, he's a young bloke. He's a young scrappy lad, and I won't use any words like that anymore. But people like, stop doing that, Matt. But still, you might think he's 16. He's 22. He is 22. For reference, I'm 26. And am I better than him? No, I'm just I'm 4 years older. Okay, but still, he's 22. I'm 26. it's not that far off. And also another thing as well that we should mention, this is a guy who for a living plays games and does everything he does is online. Not just because he's a younger person, but also that's just what he does for a living. So to say that he doesn't understand that while his channel, it's a global channel, it's not just relegated to the UK. Again, it's still not a different context thing, but still, when it comes to the fact that it's a global channel, the internet is global, he could easily look up, and I know, look, some of you guys are going to be like, but look, Matt, everyone has blind spots, and I get it. I'm not saying that no blind spots exist. I'm just saying that it is a bit strange for a young guy, but not too young to still be developing language skills and motor skills and things like that, but a guy that's old enough to be able to search this stuff up online. The fact that, yes, if he thought this wasn't a big deal and it is a pre-edited video, it does actually kind of lean in that direction, to be fair. But still, the fact that when you are someone, and another thing too, by the way, not only is he, does he have all this access to information and things like that, but and he's also playing these games online, so he hears this stuff all the time. It's also the fact that when you are someone who is working with a company like FIFA, when you are playing competitively, when you are in those circles, you have a little bit of a responsibility, I would say, to your fans, to some of the youth, some of the youngins that are watching. So you have to think about what you say. Now, I'm not saying that you can't swear necessarily. You're not the Doctor, right? You're not playing the Doctor on Doctor Who or something like that. But still, at the same time, you do have to think about what you say versus what you say in front of your friends and what you say in public and the way you're conducting yourself in public. Because as much as, look, I'm anti-corporate, right? As much as I am anti-corporate, still, if you sign on the dotted line, as long as you weren't coerced, as long as there wasn't any duress, you go by their rules. Same thing with YouTube. Now, I might not like some of the YouTube rules, but the fact that I'm on this platform, I have to abide by their rules. Was going to say terrible, but just assume that it was there in parentheses. Still, you have to do it. You have to abide by it. So that's just the job. That's the life. If you don't like it, I understand. You might not like it, but it's still what you have to do. So the fact that he is working with this company, at any time they're allowed to not associate and to associate with anyone they want to. Even if some people would consider it hypocritical. Even if some people would be like, well, why are you associating with so-and-so and not so-and-so? Okay, but they are allowed to do that. It is their rules. It is their playground. It isn't a censorship issue. It isn't a freedom of speech issue. Not only a freedom of speech issue is, by the way, different in England, in the UK, versus here. But still, even if they weren't different, it's a corporation, it isn't the government. FIFA is not with the government. Sure, FIFA might be corrupt, like many a government, but they are not with the government. Oh, did he just say that? Damn straight he did, shots fired. So, goals fired. But still, is that that's not the right term. I don't know you could say shots, I guess. It's a shot at the goal. I don't watch or play FIFA or soccer. I just don't. But the point is, football. The point being, though, is that he could have just left it at that tweet. It was a beautifully crafted tweet. I believe that he was sorry and he took full responsibility. And I'm not saying that he's not necessarily sorry for saying what he said during the video, but at the same time, it's just like, dude, you didn't have to go there. Everything was fine. You were good. I wouldn't have made the video. I would have been like, oh, okay, like not problem solved necessarily, but he said it. He said something. He then said, hey, I'm sorry for saying it. Moving on, right? We move on. But the fact that he thought I should craft a video, not realizing that he went from zero to Muchin relatively quickly, it's just something that I think it's a life lesson. It's something that all of us need to remember. Like every once in a while, maybe we should just say as little as possible. And I frankly think that he would have been closer to getting his job back or working with EA/FIFA again if he had just kept his mouth shut. Now, I'm not saying that he should be banned forever. I would like to note, yes, even though I did say that he's 22, he should be old enough to at least get a punishment of some kind. I'm not saying he should be banned for life. However, being banned at this exact moment, if we're going to answer the question right now, yes, I think he should be banned for the time being. He should know what he's doing. He's 22 years old. He's a man. He's not a child. This isn't a situation where we have to sit here and be like, oh my God, poor guy. How could he have known that word was offensive? You're on the internet exists. And movies exist. It's not like, we've blocked off trade when it comes to movies and TV shows and books and things like that to the UK. It's just so strange to me that he would come up with the defense of, because imagine any other word. Imagine, I didn't know that the N-word was offensive. When I said the N-word, I was referring to radishes. What? And by the way, I'm not even saying that someone didn't do that, right? Or hasn't done that and not realized. I'm just saying that it is not only super unlikely, but again, it's a little bit contradictory in a sense. If you're saying, I'm sorry, then just leave it at I'm sorry. You can say, I'm not saying you can never give a reason for something, but I'm just saying that I think that him leaving it at I'm sorry was perfect, and just really flubbed it up by trying to give this reason of, well, I'm sorry, but I also didn't know. It's like, no, you were sorry for doing it. No, I am, but I also didn't know. I had no idea. Who would? And then also, yes, it might just be a YouTube thing that people do at the end of the video, a call to action, asking anyone to kind of, give some feedback. If maybe he was genuinely curious, but to then open it up like tell me if you think that this was homophobic. It's a very strange thing to do presumably at the end of your video. To kind of have that discussion of tell me what you think. Have you thought it wasn't homophobic if you were in London? It's like, it's just irrelevant. It's not as if gay people don't exist or people in the LGBTQ plus community don't exist in London. It's not as if they don't exist in 2018 to go around and be like, hey, did you know that word is offensive? Unless you're using it to talk about cigarettes. And heck, even then, there might even be some other words that are currently being used for cigarette, and that word in that connotation is also outdated and dumb to use. I just think that it was just such a strange kind of explanation. I'm not saying that that's the reason why he should be banned, to be fair, but I'm just saying that for what he said, he should have been given a ban of some type, even if it had only been a month or so. He should have been given a ban. However, now after this video, it's just like, ooh, not only can you not be trusted to not say something that stupid in a pre-recorded video, have a friend look over it, dude. But again, you could say, hey man, he said he was sorry, people can make mistakes. Okay, people can make mistakes, you're right. But then after making a damn good official statement, then go, by the way, I would like to wash my hands of all responsibility because I didn't even know. I think that's weak sauce. That's just my take on it. I get it. People have blind spots. I'm not saying that he's 100% lying necessarily, because again, we don't know. I don't know the guy. You don't know the guy. But come on. I mean, really, at some point, ignorance, and this isn't law necessarily, of course, but you can't use ignorance to say 100% hey man, I shouldn't be held responsible at all. I think that the apology was enough. I really do. And if he was asked about it in an interview, I think it's 100% okay for him to talk about it. I think it's fine. But this wasn't a beef with another YouTuber or something like that. Even though the Muchin thing was plagiarism at his job, at least you could argue that was quote-unquote beef with Boomstick Gaming. But still, when it came to this, I just think that he would have better secured his job in the future had he just left it at that tweet. And yes, he should be banned, at least for the time being. So, tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think he should be banned? Do you think he shouldn't be banned? Do you actually believe his explanation? To be fair, I want to know if you are from London. Do you use it in that way? And do you think that, hey, actually, I never thought of it in a homophobic sense at all? Also, and I really do. I know I had that inflection at the end, but I actually really do want to hear what you guys have to say. And, do you think that even if he said it, do you think that he should still be kept on? Because for me, look, I'm not trying to police what you guys do in your own spare time and your own free time when you're off the clock, but he didn't say this off the clock. He said this at his other part-time job when he's working with a huge company. It would be like if, an NFL player had said something like this in his about, like, while doing a press tour about his new book or something like that. So that's how I feel about it. But again, tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you for listening to another episode of Matt Rants. If you liked the video, please remember to like and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, you can still like and subscribe either way. Hate watch, that's okay. You can do that here. We accept it. But either way, if you want the audio version of this, you can go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/tgproductions, to get not just the audio version of this episode, but every single Matt Rants I have ever done. So thank you all so much again. Love you all. Take care and tune in, I would say next time, but later on today, for another episode of Matt Rants. Alright guys, so take care and see ya.